So one thing a lot of us want as drone pilots is just a drone that works. So in other words, it does the basics. Solid video, stable footage, decent range, and we can get all that by spending thousands of dollars, but what if you're a beginner and you're just getting into the hobby? Or for those of you who already have your flagship model and you're just looking for a backup to maybe throw in a backpack? For that, we've got the Skyrover S1. So today we're bringing the Skyrover S1 up in the air. We're gonna go over everything that you find on your display. All right, so going over your home screen, you're going to have the home button in the top corner. This button is for focus track, so we'll test that out when we're up in the air. And this button is just to take off automatically. So just gonna push that. And the drone automatically lifts off. You don't have to use the joysticks at all. And of course, if you want to do the opposite, just push the same button and you will automatically land. Then you have the menu in the corner here, so you can zoom in or out, and you can also minimize it by this button in the corner. And then on the other side, you of course have your battery percentage. The zeros will be the amount of time you have left to fly, which we're just gonna bring it up here. And in order to take off, you just push both joysticks down and then push up. So now you can see we have about 27 minutes of flight time left with about 90% battery. And then we of course have our RC signal, which is strong right now just because we're right above the controller, about 267 feet up. And we have our satellites. So we have 28 satellites, which is pretty strong. You wanna make sure you have enough satellites, otherwise you can't return to home. And then let's go into the settings. So from the safety menu, we've got what happens if you do run into an obstacle. So right now it's set to brake, or you can turn that off. So that'll disable the forward avoidance. So we definitely don't want that. Then we have a display radar map. You have the max altitude. We have it set below 400 feet just to make sure we're legal. Max distance, definitely recommend setting something there. You don't want to fly too far outside of your line of sight, so you don't want to up it all the way to like a mile or two. So we're just gonna keep it there. And you can always update your home point if you do happen to move when you're flying. Calibration, you get battery info so you can kind of see how many times you've flown. This is a brand new drone, so we don't have any cycle counts yet. And then under advanced safety settings, we can determine what happens if you lose the signal. So right now we have it set to return to home. You can descend or hover. Propeller stop, in an emergency, you can hold down both joysticks in or out. Now that's only in an emergency because you will crash. And then moving over to control, display zoom, we can set to larger text if we want, if you have a hard time seeing. Gain and expo tuning, so if you do get some drift, you can also adjust that. Your gimbal mode, right now, the standard mode is follow mode. If you want to do FPV mode, it limits the tilt. So if the drone tilts, the camera tilts with it. So you kind of feel like you're in more of an FPV drone. And then we can decide if we want the controller to charge the phone. So if your phone battery is running low, you can definitely switch that on. And then button customization. So on the function key right over here, we can toggle what we want it to do. So we can do map view, nothing, recenter gimbal. We can change it to FPV mode. We can turn on cruise control, auto exposure lock, let's change the camera settings. And we can also do the same. If we double press, we can set it to a different thing. And then if you press and hold the function key and dial, we can zoom in and out. So that just looks like this. We can do a remote control calibration. So if your aircraft is drifting a lot, if maybe you stored your controller with the sticks kind of tilted or stuck in a certain position, sometimes you will have to recalibrate. Then moving to camera, we have our color, which we have just set to normal. Your coding format, H.265 is what it's currently set to. It's kind of a smaller file size, so I usually just leave it to that. Format, MP4, and then we can also turn on a histogram or overexposure warning. We can see those clouds are pretty overexposed, so once we actually view the video, we'll see how that's kind of blown out. And of course we have the histogram. Then we can change our grid lines and white balance. And then also if your video is too sharp, you can also turn that down or turn up noise reduction. Then we have some SD card settings. You can name the folders as well and keep a cache while recording. Then moving over to the About menu, you can name your drone. So if maybe you have multiple ones or you just want to add your name to it, you can do that. You can check updates here, get the serial number if you need to either record that or send it in for repairs. You definitely need that serial number. And you can also reset all your settings and clear all your data. And then we can also switch to vertical video. So if you are shooting for social media, now the camera itself doesn't rotate. What it does is it just crops in the video. So it's just easier to share to social media. It's just one less step that you have to do. It does decrease the image quality, so just be aware of that. Then of course we have the zoom here, so we can zoom in up to 3 times. It is a digital zoom, not optical. And then if we want to see what we shot, we'll have all our photos and videos right over here. And then in terms of storage settings, we have about 2 hours of video left to record. It's about a 120 gigabyte card, and we're shooting 4K 30. But then we can also change that to 4K all the way up to 60. Then going into manual settings, in terms of ISO, we can set anywhere from 100 to 3200. And for the shutter, we can go as high as 1/8,000th of a second, all the way down to 1/60th of a second. So those are all the settings that you'll find for the Sky Rover S1. Now, if you do happen to have any other questions, let us know in the comments, and thanks for watching.